Hi, everybody, and welcome to Home Based Business Review. I'm your host, Carl Douglas, and this will be a second part discussion about why a higher education is so important. You need to, if you haven't already, go grab a piece of paper and pencil and sit down and listen to this. This information will be life changing for some of you. So, right now, we brought back our special guest, Dr. Scott. Are you there?
You bet. I'm right here.
All
And
right.
Carl, it's lovely to see you. Thank you for this opportunity again.
Yes, looking forward to extending our conversation about higher education. I'm gonna
Sure.
let you introduce yourself again for those who
Yeah,
have not, seen the first part,
sure.
but yet they can still take this and move on. And then, of course, we encourage them to go back and listen to the first part of this
You bet.
conversation.
You bet. You bet. Appreciate that. Yeah, I'm Scott Finney, and I grew up in Oakland, California. And I grew up during the 1960s and the early 70s there in Oakland. And during that time, there was a lot of things going on with social revolutions and, the Dr. Kings, the Malcolm X's, it was all happening. And then in the middle of that, too, as a basketball player, I dedicated my life to basketball at a very young age because I wanted to get up and out. And I had no idea, though, that basketball would be opening up a door of education opportunities and the outcome of that I never expected. I was a point guard for Gonzaga University. They recruited me up here to play for 4 years. And even when I signed the contract and was going to play and start for 4 years and maybe come back and play for the Golden State Warriors, right? I mean, that's what everybody is dreaming. I also knew deep down inside I could get hurt. Something could go wrong. If I don't have an education to fall back on, then I've really lost a lot of open door opportunities. And so I came to school here in Spokane with this twofold purpose: to play the best ball I could possible, but at the same time, not to get a B in any of my classes. I wanted straight A's. And I found out that if you apply yourself in the classroom setting, it carries over to the basketball. It carries over to a lot of other things, even in networking with people, because that line of discipline builds a character in you that you're not so aware of, but it's your laser focus, it's your coming back. And like you said earlier, Carl, it's the belief factor. Locked up within us is a lot of potential and a lot of capacity, God given. And the question is, will we water it and let it grow? And that means not that you're going to get instantaneous results, but you're going to apply yourself, because it's really true. Like the Bible says, you reap what you sow. And if you
Right.
just keep sowing and keep sowing, sometimes our little decisions, like whether to go to school or not, or whether to go for a degree or not, or whether to get straight A's or not, those are little seeds. But, seeds can create a large harvest. And you could say, in a sense, it's almost as if we're just in a setting where the harvest is as big as we want it if we just plant the seeds now. And so I did, and I went through Gonzaga 4 years, but I did get 2 Bs. I'm still not happy about it, and I may go back and retake those 2 classes, but I did get 2 Bs in my 4 years. And I had a double major. I had English and criminal justice, and I was going to go into law school, as well as play a little NBA basketball, just kind of do all that kind of stuff.
Right. Right.
But what happened was, the focus to play as a starting guard, in the NCAAs, you have to give yourself. But I realized in the same way, in my freshman year, sophomore year, junior, and senior, I have to give myself to my education in the same way. And little did I know, after a car accident between my junior and senior year, that hurt my back, and I was not able to be as explosive as I wanted to be on the basketball court. I was glad that I didn't shut that door of education as my future. And so what came out of that was many offers to continue in a graduate school, maybe even a scholarship. I was in the running for Oxford University, a Rhodes Scholar opportunity. And a lot of things were there. And even the law school thing was there as well. But that's what education did. Even as a teenager, it made that big of a difference. And I found out with my first job, I worked for Xerox Corporation management trainee, that my employer made it clear to me, a 4-year degree, even though you majored in English, we want you to be the top salesman and top marketing rep and become a regional manager
Right.
with a criminal justice degree, an English degree. So what they brought out was, it's not the subject, it's what you go through to get it. Because there's always reasons to stop. There's always reasons to slow down. There's health issues, there's financial issues, there's relationship issues. And yet, if we stay the course and just expect challenges to come, it's never easy, but it's never a point that we're not able to keep making those choices.
Yes.
And so they made it clear to me. And now I even see, because now I hire and fire people as a director. I'm just making a transition to, I'm the director of Africana Studies at Eastern Washington University. And after these 7 years now, I'm going to drop and go into just being a professor, a senior professor. But I've hired and fired and did a lot of things, even as a regional manager for Fireman's Fund. And so I've seen a lot of people. And it's that degree that says, I am trainable, I am disciplined, I am responsible enough to go to the final point and get across that final line, get to the finish line. And I believe in us, in every human being, there's this capacity not only to get to the finish line, but go beyond. And so all we need to do is plant some seeds, make some choices. Higher education opens doors that you can never dream of. I never dreamed I'd go to these places free of charge, expense paid, like Ghana, Africa, or Ethiopia, or I just recently been to Egypt, or to the Philippines, or been to Australia, to Germany, to England, to France. I never had Taiwan. I never dreamed I would go to these places. And yet education opened the door to those things and allowed me to present and to pass on my experience and pass on my knowledge and research about the contrasting and similarities between Dr. King and Malcolm X, who both said, like Malcolm said, without education, you're going nowhere in this world. And here's a man who was able to go to Oxford University, the top university in the world, and hold the whole classroom spellbound as he talked about his self-education while he was in prison and how he couldn't get enough books about the truth of history and social science and the American, I would say the American past that shows all of the diversity and all of the women and all the people of color that also added to what the European Americans did to make this country have such great potential. And so if he could do it and be self-taught in that way, and then before he was martyred, he would make it clear, without education, we can't even start to bring about change in this country. So I just like to pass on what Malcolm X and Dr. King opened up. And I also would like to say, I'm just a product of little choices that added up, and education does pay off.
Well, Mr. Scott here, Dr. Scott, I noticed that you see a lot of students, and thank you for that information, but I noticed you're around a lot of young students who may be struggling, okay, in the beginning, but then once they complete, I know you've seen the rewards of graduation, and a lot of these students they grow to a certain point, and they look back at who they were before they came and when they left.
That's right.
And tell us a little bit about some of the examples that you've seen and some of the rewards that you noticed that some of these students achieved.
Yes. There's a young man who now works for the State Department in Washington, D.C. And I remember him as a freshman, very unsure of himself, not even clear that he belonged in higher education. Maybe he should get a job, maybe he should do something technically, and so on. And a number of us, myself included, just encouraged him. And we said, we believe what's inside of you has yet to be seen. And all you need is stick to it for 4 years and you watch what happens. And now I hired him recently as a part-time teacher at Eastern Washington University. And this is after, 12 years after he graduated. And it's an amazing thing to see the stature, the dignity, the strength, the assurance, the confidence, and yet the humility and class that this young man has. And he came in like a ping pong ball, not sure where to go, what to do. But what he did was he stuck to education, even when it seemed like it was too costly financially, too costly in relationships, too costly in time or in energy, because folks want to make money or do something instantaneous. He stuck in there. And today I can say I'm only in this business of higher education to see people like him. And it's an amazing thing to get emails from folks that say, I still remember those classes that gave me the thought, maybe I could keep going too. Maybe I could make it too. And so, yeah, he's just one example of it's okay to be unsure. It's okay to sense your shortcomings, or, we're all broken vessels. There's flaws in all of us. But there's also the ability to just choose to hang in there. And
Yes.
education, in a sense, will keep you with some continuity in your life. And what it does with others seeing you, it impacts others around you. It becomes contagious. It's a beautiful thing. And the end result is like our forefathers found out 4 million were locked into slavery for 225 years. And they found out and they knew, once I get education, I have power. Once I have power, I can provoke change. And that's the history of what happened in this country after 225 years of slavery. When education gets in, like it did to this famous abolitionist, Frederick Douglass, it changed his whole life around. And he became a baton for others. And things like W.B. Du Bois and Marcus Garvey and these gentlemen, and then you have, I would say, Ida B. Wells, probably the most powerful civil rights individual of the 1900s, of the 1800s, with Frederick Douglass. She became so gifted at her going to high school like she never had before because she was born into slavery. Ida B. Wells went to high school, and her mother went to high school with her because she had been an adult in slavery. It ended up, do you know that Ida B. Wells became the top journalist in this country? That means she was able to articulate, to convey thought, and to reach conclusions, and to even show people how to critically think about how we're treating each other and how to overturn the inhumanity by just writing. And the power of her pen, she was the first crusading journalist, a muckraker, as we call him, in the early 1900s. And she actually changed the lynching freedom that many, many groups had against the people of African descent in this country. And she even established the first international anti-lynching association, all because of education and the power of the pen.
Wow. That's just one person who made a change, but it came from education.
Yeah.
Those who are listening and taking notes, look into yourself. Talk to your parents. Talk to someone that, say you want to become a doctor, lawyer. Go and ask them, can you come in and sit with them for a few days and watch what they do? That's another way that you can find out what's inside you that's trying to get out.
That's right.
Back to my children, they all admire you.
Oh, thank you.
My daughter and my son-in-law, they were in your class.
Oh.
So and they always talk about you and how you inspire them to be who they are. Now, my son-in-law, he has a professional basketball team. Where'd he get that? Because he strives for higher and greatness.
Yeah.
Okay. He's working with a TV station. Super, super intelligent guy. I always say, well, you know what? You got to be that way. You got to be striving for great. You're going to marry my daughter.
That's right. That's right. Tell him it. Tell him it.
Yeah. And one thing people, I want to mention, a lot of you may say, I can't afford college and so on. My daughter went into the military because of that. The military paid for everything. Now, she just graduated. She's under the age of 30 and got her master's.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So there's ways that don't come up with excuses, because you know what excuse is. A definition of excuse with me is a well thought out lie that you told yourself. I won't believe you.
Very good.
I will
Very.
not believe you. But why would you fool yourself? Become great. Become great for your children. Become great for your family, because
That's
you
right.
never know who's watching in your family
Hmm.
that wants to be you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and
That's right.
that breaks the ceiling.
Yeah.
That's been, I would say, destroying a lot of families because they were fearing and they don't believe that it was possible. I
Yep.
believe,
That's it.
believe what's going on. But yes, I just wanted to throw that in about my kids.
I believe that. I'm so thankful. Thanks for sharing that. I appreciate it.
Yes,
I
yes.
appreciate it.
So let's talk about certain fields that's it's an open field right
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
for an education.
Yeah.
Uh, my daughter went for an IT business specialist. Okay, and
Oh,
she have a degree in that.
mhm.
Uh, my everyone else I look at, I said, pick a professional uh, growing field, because you can go to school in
Mhm.
4 years, come out, and then everything you were doing now is obsolete, especially technology.
Yeah.
Okay, that changes so fast.
Yeah.
So, but being a lawyer, being in the medical field, especially here in Spokane,
Mhm.
it's wide open. It
Mhm.
will never run out. Matter of fact, they have a shortage right now, people.
That's right. That's
And
right.
people say, "Well, how's the money?" And so on. I said, "The money is great.
Oh, it's really good.
It's great. Jump in the water, and you're gonna like the way it feels."
That's
Um,
right. That's
so,
right.
what other fields you can recommend or talk
Yeah.
about that they may be able to look
Yeah.
into?
Yeah, I appreciate that. There's one degree that Eastern Washington puts out, as well as I think Whitworth and Gonzaga, and that's the degree is called Public Administration. And public administration will qualify you for a wide variety of companies and types of markets, because a person in public administration learns how organizations function, how organizations can be dysfunctional, how leadership and leadership qualities can change the complete reputation of a company in front of many, many clients who have other markets they could go to. And I would say, too, it prepares you for interacting, networking, and learning how to be a team player and at the same time a servant leader. And public admin will get you a degree that fits into City Hall. It may also fit out at the airport in arranging and overseeing things. It may be something of a counseling center that number of Excelsior, a number of ones that we have here. Or it may even put you into a situation of being part of a firm that is deep in computers, deep in technology, but they need someone with those soft skills, with those personal skills, with those abilities to get a cohesive group to do something. I once heard from an employer just recently. He mentioned that really what your degree is almost secondary, but have you proven and have you conveyed it in the interview that you're able to interact with people successfully, effectively? Are you a good listener? And do you paraphrase and even repeat what someone has said to clarify that you understand them? And then can you articulate where you're going? What do you see as the solution? And if, in a sense, if people pick up your genuineness and your sincerity, you can be a leader without any official title. And public admin will do that. Another degree that will do that is a master's in communication studies. It is amazing how many companies and organizations don't put out their best product because internally, the ability to work as a team, to coordinate, to collaborate, and to jump in there at the middle of the game and take a lead of a certain action, and then to sit down and be benched and just be as happy, in the way of business. They're looking and they're hunting for people to do this. I do diversity consulting. I also do leadership study kind of consulting as well. And I tell you, the issue is really what Dr. King said. The problem is who can communicate. Even when it comes to race relations, I would say over 66% of the problem is the inability to communicate. And it's the disconnection. Sometimes they don't want to hear. Other times it may be we're saying it in a way that closes them down. I would say communication communication studies, public admin, opens up many opportunities. You may end up working at the State Department in Washington, D.C.,
Yeah.
because they need people that can communicate and can research, critically think about something, and then convey it to a group to make it work as a network. So there's a wide, I'd say, a wide variety of jobs in the STEM areas and anything related to science, of course, technology, mathematics, but also there are a lot of positions open to those that have put time into the social sciences, because social sciences broaden your ability to interrelate with people, to cross-culturally relate with others, and even to interculturally relate with others, because we're in a global market and we're in a global setting. And a lot of times the experts' inability to communicate nullifies the experts' research and IQ and ability. So when you come into the university setting, you'll find people that will acknowledge what your strengths are, and on top of that, they have contacts already out there in the market, in the professional world, career-wise, that can even plug you in and set you up for a kind of a foot in the door when you graduate. One of the greatest things we do now, and we emphasize it quite highly, is internships, where as you're in school, we'll also place you in a work setting, much like Carl, you just mentioned, and let you get a real feel to not only shadow a person, but then also volunteer and be able to take over part of a responsibility that at your entry level you could do. And by that way, the company sees what you're like, you see what the company's like, and you're still in school. It's not like you're just dropping on this company out of the blue. And so we'll work that out as well. Teachers, professors are always looking for students who want to put a foot in the door while they're in school. And I guarantee you, the day of graduation is the day of your first job.
That's correct.
Yeah.
You know, this you're dropping we call nuggets and bums. that a lot of people, not just parents, but the children that's out there who are in high school, that's maybe going for their social, and they don't know how to take it further.
Yeah.
You know, like you just mentioned, the things they will create that powerful future of them. It's there, you know. So I got an idea. What if we gave them like a cheat sheet of about maybe 10 things they should know about why they're becoming this greater person that they want to become? Well, why don't we just give like a little small ebook to them?
Sure.
We can. What you say? You think we can pull something like that together? Or?
I would love to try that. I would love to try that.
Absolutely. Okay, because it'll be, we can put it in the message. They just click on it and then it'll take them. We can actually put it right there, Funnels Connection, right under your name. They can go right there and see everything.
Great.
I think that, you know, we can talk. Here's what we need to know, folks.
Yeah.
We can talk about all this over and over and over again, but if you don't put it to action, utilize it, it's nothing.
That's right.
It's a small conversation that you heard that came in this ear and went out the other.
Yeah.
So I think that we definitely we need to do this. And you guys, your comments are very important to us. So we can ask, maybe next time we have an interview with Mr. Professor Scott, Dr. Scott here, we can actually take a look at those questions you're asking, and we can address in our next interview. I think that'd be another great idea. We can
really be good. I'd like to do that. Yeah.
Yes. So I wish we had more time. But we need to keep this under a certain length of time so we can air it on our TV show. Great. But I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of comments like those people who are watching right now probably going, "Oh, I got to write this down and send it over to you."
Love it.
But let's do a closing thought here.
Sure.
What else can you say on your final words here that may inspire someone who is struggling to make a decision on what they want to, you know, basically major in?
Yeah. You know, I would say this, that you have in you what it takes. And just the fact that you're struggling, all that points to is you need help with aiming. And that'll come as you cross that threshold of committing to higher education. And then it's almost as if the clarity doesn't come until after you make that commitment. But after that commitment is there, and I mean, for instance, your first year in the university setting, you come with a mindset. I'm not here to meet new friends, although you're going to, and that's one of the byproducts of it. I'm not here to have a good time, although you're going to, but you're going to prioritize your living and lay it down in a point of what's in front of you, that your freshman year will be your most effective year in getting into, I would say, an academic groove. And the professors are waiting to find people that take initiative like this, that have a calendar that looks at their month's obligations and deadlines and schedule things according to the class obligations, and then schedule whether you go to a football game or watch that movie around those things. If you do that your first year, I can almost guarantee you by the time you finish, you'll have made enough acquaintances with enough professors who can give you some ideas of lining you up where you can go and what might be your niche, what might really be where you belong. And it's only after the commitment of, okay, I'm going to lay down the early foundational elementary grades of my freshman year. After that, you get to focus with more clarity, and you get to, I would say, find a kind of echo inside that matches. This is what I need to do. This is where I want to go. But you don't know it until after you make the commitment. Otherwise, it'd be too cheap. It's just something you get and then you can toss it around. But once you make a commitment, that commitment gives you clarity. And I guarantee you, the folks at that university that you go to, whether it's Eastern or not, you will find that they're there to see you all the way through. And that means up through the ups and the downs, through the things that want to postpone and hold you back. And their believing in you causes you to say, well, if they believe in me, maybe I should believe in myself too.
Right.
Even the belief in yourself will grow. And that believing allows you to enter into a kind of a speed that you could never believe. It's not a speed of how fast you can get things done, but how thorough, what kind of quality, what kind of professionalism can come out, even as you're in your teenager years. This will open doors because people see that, people acknowledge that, and people want that. And even your friends will eventually say, I'd like to also take routes. So what you're going to do is something not just for yourself, even just for your family, but you'll have an impact on those around you. Because what you do in those kind of settings of your first few years in college, it is really going to leave an impression on people. And the fact is this, you can do it. If I did it, I don't have photographic memory. I don't have a super high IQ. Matter of fact, I don't even want to know what my IQ is. But yeah, I do have a free will, and I know that if I choose something, that's what I can get. What you choose is what you get. And I think success and impact to help others, even to me, the greatest thing is not to get, but to give. And as much as I've acquired, I believe it's just a foundation for me to give to others. So you get a life that's full of fulfillment, full of meaning, and full of reality. And that's what everyone's looking for anyway. Education is the start of that pathway.
Yes. Well spoken, well said. And folks, time's going to go by anyway. You look back and think about it. 5 years ago, where were you? And look at you where you're at today.
Yeah.
Grow with education. Once again, Mr. Dr. Scott, thank you for your time. And those of you who are wanting any comments, anything like that, please get a hold of us. But in the meantime, thank you for staying with us up to this time. Yes. And we look forward to seeing you once again.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.